We have some major breaking news as the 2026 NASCAR schedules have all been revealed. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to the video. As I just said a second ago, we got some pretty massive and major breaking news as the NASCAR Cup, the O'Reilly Auto Parts, and the Craftsman Truck Series schedules have all been revealed for 2026. I'm going to go through each of these schedules, talk about Cup first and talk about the O'Reilly Auto Parts schedule, and then we'll go through the Truck Series schedule as well. So let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Let's, of course, begin by talking about the Cup schedule. The Cup season is going to kick off on Sunday, February 1st, and we have to clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. We already knew Bowman Gray Stadium would be returning for 2026. They're still working on a 5-year deal currently at the moment to continue racing in Winston-Salem. That will be returning in 2026. Then the first 5 point-saving races are going to remain the same. So on Sunday, February 15th, will be the 2026 Daytona 500. After that, on Sunday, February 22nd, we'll race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, also known as Echo Park Speedway. Then on Sunday, March 1st, we'll race at Circuit of Americas once again. After that, we'll race at Phoenix Raceway on March 8th, and then on March 15th, we'll race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The first change for the schedule comes on March 22nd at Darlington Raceway. This race will move a couple weeks up earlier in 2026 for where it was in 2025. It was in the middle of April this past year. It moves up to race 6 of 2026. After that, on March 29th, we don't have a change here. It will be at Martinsville Speedway. All these races also will be Sunday afternoon events. After that, on Sunday, April 12th, after one off week for Easter, we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But obviously, of course, with that change, it will be racing at Bristol on April 12th. After that, on Sunday, April 19th, we have another change of the schedule as Kansas Speedway moves up a couple weeks earlier in the schedule from the middle to early May, moving up to the middle to late April of 2026. That will be on April 19th. And then after that, on Sunday, April 26th, we'll race at Talladega Super Speedway. No change from 2025. And then on Sunday, May 3rd, we'll race at Texas Motor Speedway. The next major significant change will take place on Sunday, May 10th at Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen moves from the traditional August weekend all the way to early May. This will be the first time it's ever happened where they're not racing in the summer. They'll be racing in early May. I am not a big fan of this move personally. I don't understand why Watkins Glen is moving up earlier in the season. To me, this doesn't make any sense in any way, shape, or form. Watkins Glen should be in the traditional time. I think another track that we'll talk about here in just a little bit would have absolutely fit the criteria for this instead of that, but instead they're moving Watkins Glen. The weather is going to be a major factor. I mentioned this in the video yesterday. We were discussing the Cup Series schedule. That will move a little bit earlier in the year. And then another major significant change, as for the first time since 1969, Dover Motor Speedway will not host a points-paying event, and instead they will have the All-Star race next year. It is unknown if the race is going to be a day race. More than likely will be a day race in 2026. We would expect that at this point. If it does become a day race, it will be the first time since 1991 where the race has not been a night event. I am not a big fan of Dover Motor Speedway hosting the All-Star race. I think there's other tracks on the schedule that would have made a lot more sense. I get why they're trying to make this move, but at the same token, same time, I am not a big fan of this move. After that, on Sunday, May 24th, will be the 2026 Coca-Cola 600, and all the prime races will be the same except one big change we'll talk about. Then after that, on Sunday, May 31st, we'll race at National Super Speedway. I would expect that race to be a Sunday night race. Then on Sunday, June 7th, we'll race at Michigan International Speedway. And then on Sunday, June 14th, we'll race at Pocono. That moves up a week earlier in the schedule compared to last year, which I think was June 28th, moves a couple weeks earlier in the year. One race up from the prior year. That will be the second to last race of the prime schedule. And then the final race of the prime schedule, for the first time, we'll be racing at a naval base in the Cup Series in quite some time, as we'll be racing in the streets of San Diego at Naval Base Coronado. I'm very excited for this move. I love that we're going to a naval base for the first time ever. I think this is an excellent and really good change on the schedule, as this will be placed in for Mexico City and also technically the Chicago Street Course on the street course part as well. And then let's go to the TNT portion. So the TNT portion is going to kick off on Sunday, June 28th at Sonoma Raceway, which will be the first race of that, moving up a couple weeks earlier in the schedule. So back-to-back road course races on the schedule. The next big significant change will take place on Sunday, July 5th at Chicagoland Speedway. The first time of the Cup Series has raced at Chicagoland since 2019, when we had a great finish between Alex Bowman and Kyle Larson during that year. That moves up a little bit earlier in the schedule. Then on Sunday, July 12th, another significant change. It was a will race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, also known as Echo Park Speedway. That moves a couple weeks back in the schedule. Reason they're moving that is because of the in-season tournament, and I think opening up with the Super Speedway is not the best change that they can make. Then, for the first time since 1996, 30 years ago, on Sunday, July 19th, we'll be racing in North Wilkesboro Speedway. And Dale Jr. has confirmed this as well, something really excited around this. This will be a night race in 2026. I am so excited about North Wilkesboro being back on the schedule. This is a replacement for Dover going into next year. This will move a little bit. For the first time, we'll have a points-paying race at North Wilkesboro in a very long time. Excited to see North Wilkesboro back on the map and on the schedule as well. Then after that, on Sunday, July 26th, we'll race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the final race of the TNT portion of the schedule. Then let's go to USA and NBC. So the first race will be after a one-week break on August 2nd. It'll kick off on Iowa Speedway on Sunday, August 9th. And then after that, we will have our first Saturday night race of the schedule on August 15th at Richmond Raceway, especially after the ratings issues we had from Richmond. I'm a little surprised this isn't a Sunday afternoon event, but it'll be a Saturday night event once again. And then another change to the schedule on Sunday, August 23rd, we'll be headed to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This will be the first time in quite some time that New Hampshire has had an August date on the schedule. That will move out of the playoffs. I never understood why they brought it in the playoffs to begin with. It absolutely made no sense to me. And then after that, the final race of the regular season will take place on Saturday, August 29th at Daytona International Speedway. Let's move on to the playoffs. So the playoffs will kick off on Sunday, September 6th at Darlington Raceway. Then after that, for the second year in a row, Gateway will host the Cup Series race on Sunday, September 13th. And then the final race of the first round will take place on September 19th at Bristol Motor Speedway. Moving on to the second round, it will kick off on September 27th and Sunday at Kansas Speedway. After that, on Sunday, October 4th, Las Vegas moves out of the round of 8 and moves into the round of 12 this next year at that track. And the final race of the round of 12 will take place on Sunday, October 11th at the Charlotte Roval as that track returns for 2026. Then we move on to the round of 8. So, of course, we know Phoenix will not host a championship race in 2026. Instead, it will host the first race of the round of 8 next year. After that will be at Talladega Super Speedway once again on Sunday, October 25th. And then the final race of the round of 8 will take place on Sunday, November 1st at Martinsville. And the final race of the season for the first time since 2019 will be at Homestead Miami Speedway. Very excited to see the Homestead Miami Speedway will be back on the schedule for the 2026 year as a championship race. It's been 7 years since that has happened. I think the track has earned the right to be back on the schedule as the championship event. Now, let's go on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule, also known as the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts schedule. There's not a ton of major changes to the schedule for next year that's associated with this. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Beginning with Saturday, February 14th, it'll take place at Daytona International Speedway. After that, on Saturday, February 21st, we'll race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Then we'll head to Circuit Americas on February 28th. Then we will race on March 7th at Phoenix Raceway. And then the fifth race of the schedule will be on March 14th at Las Vegas. After that, on March 21st, we'll race at Darlington Raceway, and then on March 28th, we'll race at Martinsville Speedway. And it's now been confirmed and announced that Rocky and Speedway will be back on the calendar during the Easter weekend. There's been some questions whether this track would return for both the lower series. Glad to see Rocky and will be back on the calendar once again in the 2026 year. There was some outside chance maybe Cup could have the All-Star race there, but we will see the Xfinity Series or the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series and the Truck Series racing there in 2026. After that, on Saturday, April 11th, we'll race at Bristol Motor Speedway. And then after that, on Saturday, April 18th, we will race at Kansas Speedway, which Kansas, again, moves up earlier in the year. Then after that, April 25th, we'll race at Talladega Super Speedway. And then on May 2nd, we'll race at Texas Motor Speedway. After that, on May 9th, we'll race at Watkins Glen as that moves up early in the year, coinciding with the Cup Series. And then on May 16th, we'll race at Dover Motor Speedway. They actually will be having a triple header for all three series at the racetrack, as they will get a points-paying event during that weekend. Then after that, on May 23rd, we'll race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And then after that, on May 30th, we'll race at Nashville Super Speedway. After that, on June 13th, we'll race at Pocono. And then on June 20th, we'll race at San Diego at Naval Base Coronado, as they will race on the streets there as well, like the Cup Series has done. After that, on June 27th, we will race at Sonoma Raceway. And then on July 4th, Saturday, on the 4th of July, the Xfinity Series will race at Chicagoland Speedway. Xfinity's going to put on a banger of a race, I got to say there. Then on Saturday, July 11th, we'll race at Echo Park Speedway. They will have one off week, so they will not be racing in North Wilkesboro in 2026. They will have one off week during that time. And then on Saturday, July 25th, they will race at Indianapolis. And then, of course, like with the Cup Series schedule, they will not be racing during the next week. Saturday, August 8th, they'll race at Iowa. There was some talk about maybe racing at Montreal and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve next year. It's been confirmed it will not be on the calendar for 2026, so we might be waiting for Canada to get on the schedule in 2027 at this point. And then on Saturday, August 8th, we'll race at Iowa Speedway. And on Friday, August 28th, after a couple weeks off, the Xfinity Series will return at Daytona International Speedway. And then we'll race at Darlington on September 5th. Excited to see Darlington. We'll have 2 dates for the Xfinity Series. Once again, Xfinity absolutely puts on a massive, massive banger there. I'm very glad to see about this. But one thing you are probably going to notice at this point, Portland Raceway will not be on the calendar in 2026 for the Xfinity Series. I got to be honest, I'm definitely disappointed about that. I think Portland puts on a really good show. It's a shame to not see it on the calendar for next year. Portland's a great track. I think there's just no way they're going to be able to fit it on the schedule in any way, shape, or form. They could have had it maybe during the off week between Sonoma and all that kind of stuff, or between maybe like Indianapolis and all that. But at the same token, at the same time, it will not be on the calendar once again. And the final race of the regular season on Saturday, September 12th will take place at Worldwide Technology Raceway, also known as Gateway, which will return for the second year in a row. Moving on to the playoffs, kind of similar to the Cup Series. We'll be on Friday, September 18th at Bristol. There will be one off week during that time, and then they'll race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on October 3rd. After on Saturday, April 10th, we will race at the Charlotte Roval, and then on October 17th, we'll race at Phoenix Raceway. After on October 24th, we'll race at Talladega, and then October 31st, we'll race at Martinsville, and then finally on Saturday, November 7th, we'll race at Homestead for the championship event. Big things here. There are 2 Martinsville dates once again. I really think Martinsville should only have been on there once this year. I really don't understand why we could have not taken a Martinsville day and given it to Portland at this point. Martinsville has not put on a great show for the Xfinity Series. It's been a crapshoot the last couple times we've been there. It doesn't make sense to me at this moment why there's only going to be 2 dates there. Well, I think the series has put on not the best product at that track in recent years. But finally, let's move on to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, as their schedule has also been announced as well. So let's begin, and there's some pretty significant changes to the Truck Series schedule for this upcoming year. Beginning with on Friday, February 13th, we will race at Daytona International Speedway as the opening event, and on Saturday, February 21st, we'll race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The big significant change here, though, for the first time ever, the Truck Series will race on the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. That's right, the Truck Series will not have one, but 2 street course races in the 2026 season. I am very intrigued to see how the racing is going to be at this track, because St. Petersburg is a very interesting track to go. IndyCar puts on generally a really good racing at the track. I'm surprised to see this will be on the calendar, but interesting that St. Petersburg will host a Truck Series date in 2026. Then on March 20th on a Friday night, we'll race at Darlington Raceway, and then on Friday, April 3rd, we will race at Rockingham. After on Friday, April 10th, we'll race at Bristol, and then on May 1st, on a Friday once again, we'll race at Texas. And then on May 8th, which I believe will be a Friday as well, we'll be at Watkins Glen International Speedway, as all 3 series will race there once again. Then on Friday, May 15th, the Truck Series will race at Dover. And then on Friday, May 22nd, we'll be at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And then on May 29th, we'll race in Nashville. Saturday, June 6th, the Truck Series once again back in Michigan. And on Friday, June 19th, the Truck Series for the second time will race on another street course as a race at Naval Base Coronado. Then on Saturday, July 11th, after a couple weeks off, we'll race at Lime Rock. And then on Saturday, July 18th, the Truck Series will head to North Wilkesboro. So excited to see North Wilkesboro on the truck schedule once again. And then on Friday, July 24th, they will race at Indianapolis Raceway Park. They'll have a couple weeks off. And then on August 14th, they will race at Richmond Raceway. And then on Saturday, August 22nd, the final race of the Truck Series regular season will take place at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Moving on to the playoffs for trucks. The round of 10 will start off on Thursday, September 17th at Bristol Motor Speedway. Then Kansas Speedway will be the second race of that on Saturday, September 26th. And then the final race of the round of 10 will take place at the Charlotte Roval in 2026 on Friday, October 9th. After that, on Friday, October 16th, the Truck Series will race at Phoenix, and then another Friday on October 23rd will take place at Talladega. And then, of course, on Friday, October 30th, will take place at Martinsville, and then on Friday, November 6th, the final race of the calendar will take place at Homestead Miami Speedway. The big change here you're going to notice, there's only one Martinsville Truck Series race in 2026. Chicagoland is not on the Truck Series schedule for next year. There are 2 street course races on the calendar for next season as well. And then, of course, there are 5 road course races next year. Sonoma's out of the Truck Series schedule once again. They're putting, actually, there's only, 1 Sonoma road course race. So there are 3 or 4 of those on the schedule for next year, which I find to be very interesting. You will not see 2 Sonoma races. There have been rumors of Sonoma hosting a Truck Series race next year. That, of course, will not be happening. In general, I think there's some positive changes with the schedule for next year. There's definitely some negative changes to the schedule for overall for next year as well. We talked about the Cup Series side, kind of talked how I felt about that. Xfinity, disappointing to see there's 2 Martinsville dates. I might be controversial to say, but after the crapshoot that we had, I thought maybe we only go down to 1. I'm disappointed to see Portland not on the schedule for the Xfinity Series next year, because I think Portland puts on a really good show. Maybe they'll come back in 2027. We know they're talking about trying to bring the Chicago Street Course in Mexico City back on the calendar in 2027. We'll just have to wait and see what happens on the front. But nonetheless, all the schedules are officially announced and confirmed for the Cup Series, for the Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series going into 2026. Really good to see all the schedules have been announced and confirmed as well. So that is going to be today's special breaking news report of all 3 calendars being revealed for 2026. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go some more of that and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What are your thoughts on the 2026 NASCAR schedule? Let me know them in the comments below. If you have any other major news that breaks today, we'll discuss it live on the channel. If we have any other news, we'll push the Xfinity Series picks back to tomorrow. I might do that regardless. We might push it back tomorrow. Then, of course, we also will have the Cup race picks, and then we'll have the paint scheme video as well. Then Friday, we're going to have a NASCAR news video, talk about this news, some other news around Trackhouse Racing with Tony Lunders being no longer with the program, talk about other people like Haley Deegan, SVG, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Shitseen, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Frankie Muniz, Connor Sillish, Cletus Afron, Dodge Ram, Colleague, Michael Jordan, lawsuit stuff, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about on the channel coming days and weeks along with Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ryan Priest, Brad Keselowski, all the good stuff. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode. I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.